I wasn't going to do another video today. I've got a lot of research to do before my conference, church tomorrow. But I watched a 2 hour uh, YouTube video on Philip Anthony Mitchell. Uh, it was a podcast recording. It was like 2 hours long. I think it was from a year ago. And the only reason I'm doing a video is because there seems to be some kind of controversy about this guy and his church. Uh, and the title of my video is going to be I Know the Truth About, uh, or how will I put it? Oh, the truth about Philip Anthony Mitchell and Tim Timberlake. You know what the truth is? The truth is between those two individuals and God. Because I don't see anything that they're doing that would cause me to be concerned. I mean, I remember in the Bible, a bunch of the disciples were upset because some guy was, not part of their group and he's out there preaching about Jesus. And Jesus said, "That's fine. He's if he's not against us, he's for us." I don't hear these people talking about some kind of alternate religion or values. Pretty much everything that he's quoting is from the Bible. Uh, a lot of times in church today, you don't even hear Bible quotes. It's anecdotal kind of stuff. So, I listened to the video where he talked about how much time he spends in prayer and how much time he spends, fasting and how broken he feels. And all of it seemed genuine to me and truthful. And I'm like, why are people running this guy down? And I think it's just the idea that this Christianity thing, this the power of the Holy Spirit, uh, having true power in God, it is not a comfortable thing for some people. It's not comfortable for many different reasons. One is that power has been abused so many times in our society. We have seen people rise to positions of influence and power, claiming to be the voice of God, and we've watched them fall ter- terribly, generally to the glee of the enemy and Satan. I mean, he just loves that stuff. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And it makes him look great because it kind of stains the whole thing, right? When Paul talked about how, the Jewish people were making the Gentiles, they talk bad about the Jewish people because they're supposed to be the religious ones and they did everything that they said you're not supposed to do, broke all the laws and the commandments. So I think there's the inherent distrust that comes when someone doesn't, someone rises to the point where they seem to be bigger than is possible. And all I can tell you is if it's bigger than possible and it's positive, it's probably not the person. There's probably something else going on. And whatever it is, this person is leading a church with church leadership, and they're responsible for their church, and they will answer for their ministry. And he talks about the fact that he and his staff feel a true fear of the Lord, in the sense of, are we doing the right thing? And if that's true, then I don't understand why people are all up in their face. Other than this guy's got a pretty rough background. But if you look at the disciples, none of them were saints. None of them were the religious elite. None of them were called from some position of, they were all sinners. I mean, Simon Peter, the first thing he tells the Lord is, Lord, depart from me. I am a sinner. He knew, he could tell what Jesus was all about. And he said, Lord, depart from me. I am a sinner. You can't possibly want me. So, and the other thing too is, I think everybody today has a sense that, well, I know how to do this. And that's not the right way. Are you out there pastoring a church? Are you out there on the street preaching? Are you doing the things that this man is doing? Are you having the influence that this man is doing? The message that is coming from his lips to people's ears. And yes, some of the people that he is speaking to are people that they're probably not hearing anything new. They may very well be church people. But I guarantee you, there are people that he is speaking to, because of his background, that are not church people. And they may be hearing that message in a way that they've never heard it before, for the very first time. And it could be having a real impact on their lives. So I'm just making a quick video, one of my quick videos. What's it up to now? 8 minutes. Yeah, one of my quick videos, to just say that it appears as though, on the surface, this is a man that's trying to do God's work. And whoever's complaining or moaning and groaning about it, or upset about his methods, I'm not pastoring a church. I'm not out there on the street preaching. So I certainly am not going to criticize someone who's out there trying to do God's work, or at least appears to be, with prayerful consideration and dedication to, to work. And in this podcast, he talked about the fact that, this, I wanted to be Billy Graham. I wanted to be an evangelist. And I get it. Many, many people in ministry, they they get too much of themselves, and they get way ahead of themselves and have a lot of hubris. And I made a video about this after I listened to Nick talk about this guy, because I didn't know him. I'd never heard him speak before. And just the idea that somebody was charging for a message. No, not even that. Not even charging for the message, this podcast tour. Not even that. It was charging for access in the sense that potentially, if you have access to me and my inner circle, there's a potential because I have seen miraculous things occur. And if it is truly a movement of the Holy Spirit, of course there's going to be miraculous things occurring. And my only, and it was just a question, is should we be, limiting people access to a Holy Spirit moment through money? Hmm, that that just from my reading the Bible, that just kind of sit with me wrong. But this individual talks about the fact that he doesn't do anything unless he's prayed about it and fasted about it and talked about it, and it comes from Jesus. It comes from the Holy Spirit. So if he's doing something, he's doing it for a reason. And that's another thing. We don't do much. We don't, we all want to be Paul, or we all want to be Billy Graham. We want to go out there and change the world for God, for Jesus. Well, I'm here to tell you that sometimes that one little thing that you do for somebody else that you don't even know, an act of kindness, an act of mercy, an act of forgiveness, that is part of God's work as well. And if more of us would be doing that, we'd have a good impact. And let the preachers take care of preaching and doing that work. Not everyone has that gift. So, and we don't follow, we're not good in fellowship in this country. We're not good at following others. Uh, we walk into a church, we've had some biblical training experience or think we do, and we say, well, I think we should change this and do that and start this ministry and do this and do that. So, anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video and say the secret with Philip Anthony Mitchell and Tim Timberlake is between them and God. And they'll have to answer for that when the time comes. And if they're doing good work, it's kind of it's kind of like the Pharisee when they were talking about we really need to shut this guy Paul down, and he says, you know what? He says if this is a man thing, a worldly thing, it'll fall apart on its own. If this is a God thing, you're fighting against God. Probably don't want to be in that position. So for all of those, haters and people that really don't like this guy or want to tear him down or whatever, I would suggest that you uh, look for the plank in your own eye before you decide to take the sliver out of someone else's eye. And realize that when Jesus talked about that, a plank, remember he was a carpenter. A plank was a huge piece of wood. Huge. So we're not talking about a little bigger sliver. We're talking about a log. in your eye and a little sliver in someone else's eye. Just, you know, take care of your own stuff and let this man do what he's doing. And it will prove itself one way or the other. Um, I just think it's wrong to try and tear people down all the time because we're afraid that something might be going on because we've seen it happen so many times. Well, maybe that's not the case. And if it is, as he himself said in his podcast, if there's something going on here that's not right, God will step in and take care of it. Guaranteed. So just, focus on yourself and your own stuff and then let other people deal with their stuff. And I'm not saying be complacent. I'm not saying don't call stuff out if you see that it's wrong. Uh, and don't, I'm not saying don't question things. I'm just saying don't try and tear down everything that you see because it doesn't quite fit the model or what you think it should be. And it seems strange. Well, I can tell you, if the Holy Spirit's involved, it's going to be strange and it's going to be supernatural. So hold on to your hats because if it really is truly supernatural and the Holy Spirit's involved, who knows what will happen. Uh, Hopefully, a lot of people will hear the message that's being spoken and talked about, which is the gospel, and that's the most important thing. That's my thoughts.